Morning, algebra students. Today we are looking at notes for Unit 4, Lesson 4 on graphing linear equations. This is something that you looked at and definitely did in 8th grade, but we're going to revisit it just because, 8th grade, long time ago. So when you're graphing a linear equation, and again, just reminding yourself that a linear equation just simply means that it's going to look like a line, hence the word line right in linear. In order to do that, they have to be written in that slope-intercept form. And when I'm talking about that slope-intercept form, I'm talking about that y equals mx plus b equation. And in that equation, you need to make sure that the y must be isolated or solved for. So keeping that in mind. Also remembering that when you are dealing with your linear equations, you want your m, or your slope, to be written as fractions. You want your slope to be written as fractions because it's going to be easier to see what is the rise over the run for that slope, which again is that m value, which again is just talking about the steepness of a line. So y must be solved for, make sure y is isolated. Okay, graphing requirements. There are some graphing requirements that you need to follow in order to get full credit when you're graphing these graphs, because we can be lazy sometimes, we can get a little sloppy. So the first graphing requirement, and this is the probably most important one, is that you need to use a straight edge. I have a ton of rulers here that you are more than welcome to use. If not, you have things that have straight edges at home, right? Books, your phone. You can use the side of your phone to draw a straight line even. So make sure you're using a straight line. I don't want to see any curvy lines because they're not lines then. Another important thing is that because lines are infinite, they go on in both directions forever, you need to have arrows at both ends. The third requirement, so when you're drawing that line, it's got to have arrows at both ends. Your third requirement is you're supposed to label the graph with the equation. So if they gave you the equation, you would just write that equation on the graph as you're sort of labeling it. We'll talk about other ways that you can more easily label lines. And fourth, and the most important thing, if they give you a giant graph, you're not just going to be plotting 2 points. You really need to be taking up the entire grid. Draw that line, because again, infinite in both directions. Draw that line so it's taking up the entire graph. Okay, so that's our intro. We'll take a look at the first couple examples in the next few videos.